So for the past 4 years, I've been learning about real estate investing and how it can grow your net worth. But to be honest, it's pretty overwhelming and there are so many things to learn about it. So for a beginner, I can see how it might be a little overwhelming. And so I watched this video on TikTok that explained the 5 tenets of real estate investing and why those 5 tenets can make you a millionaire. So Charlie Chang posted a video about why real estate is the ideal investment. So give it a watch.
Do you have any advice for anyone that wants to get into real estate investing?
Yeah, get into real estate investments.
Is it the best thing you've ever done?
Yeah, real estate is the ideal investment. IDEAL. I is for income, D is for depreciation, E is for equity buildup, A is for appreciation, and L is for leverage. There's no other investment that offers all of those.
So in that video, he explains that real estate is the ideal investment, but he doesn't really explain each of those concepts. So in this video, I'm just gonna go over each of those concepts, IDEAL, and explain to you why those are all significant in terms of you building your net worth in real estate investment. So let's go. So let's start with I for income. So in real estate investing, the whole idea is that you're gonna buy a piece of real estate and you're gonna rent it out. And as long as the money that you can collect from that rent can cover your monthly expenses and then still leave you with maybe $200 or $300 more, that's what we call cash flow. First off, let's talk about some of the main expenses that you're gonna have when you buy a rental property. The very first thing that I tell people to calculate is to calculate their PITI. So PITI is another acronym and it stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So principal and interest, that's basically going towards your mortgage, right? So assuming you got a loan for this property, the principal and interest are going to pay off that mortgage. And then thirdly, you have your taxes, that's your property tax. And then your insurance is around usually about $100 a month. So now that you have an idea of what your monthly costs are going to be if you were to buy this rental property, now you can try to figure out what you can collect in rental income per month if you were to rent this property out. So the best way you can do that is by going to Zillow and pretending that you are a renter looking for that exact style of unit. So if you're looking to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you go to Zillow and type in, I am looking for a rental for a 3-bed, 2-bath. And you're just gonna look at every single listing and kind of get an idea of ballpark estimate what you can rent your property out based on the condition of other properties and what they're charging for rent. So all in all, it's pretty simple. You're just gonna calculate your expenses using PITI, compare that number to the number that you find on Zillow when you're looking for these rental properties. And essentially the idea is that as long as this number is bigger than your expenses, that property is going to cash flow every single month. Now let's talk about the D, and that stands for depreciation. So there's a quote by Tom Wheelwright, who is the accountant for Robert Kiyosaki, and he states that depreciation is the king of all deductions. So simply put, depreciation is a deduction that you can take when you have a rental property business. So when it comes to depreciation, the idea is that you are running a rental property business and your properties that you own are slowly losing value year after year due to just regular wear and tear. And so the idea is that the IRS is going to give you a deduction based on the value of the wear and tear that is occurring to your property every single year. And so the IRS has a standard deduction, which is basically taking the value of the building that you buy and dividing it by 27.5 years. And that's gonna give you exactly how much of a depreciation deduction that you can take every single year that you own that rental property. So let's just say you bought a property worth $1 million. Now, the property that you buy is comprised of 2 components. It's the building and the land. But land, in the eyes of the IRS, does not depreciate, only the building portion does. So let's say of that $1 million, about $800,000 of that purchase price is going to be the building value. So that $800,000 property, if we divide that number up by 27.5 years, this is how the IRS calculates how much depreciation deduction you can take every single year that you can own that property. So that number comes out to about $29,000. And again, that number is symbolic of how much your property has deteriorated in value, technically, in the 1 year that you own that rental property. So what's the significance of this depreciation deduction? Why do we care? The idea is that if you buy a $1 million property, and let's say you bring in about $30,000 worth of rental income, well, you can use that $29,000 of depreciation deduction to offset that income. So instead of reporting to the IRS, hey, my rental property business made $30,000, now you can report to the IRS, hey, my rental property business only made $1,000, and that's how you're going to save a lot of money on taxes when it comes to real estate investing. Now let's talk about E for equity. Put simply, equity is the difference between what you owe on that property and what the property is worth. So for the most part, there's pretty much only two ways that you can get your equity to grow within a property. Number one is just to pay down your loan. So pretty much you're gonna owe less and less money on that home, so therefore your equity grows. And then the number two thing would be appreciation. So if your home naturally appreciates, meaning you just hold on to it and it somehow goes up by $100,000, that means your equity is going to grow within that home also. But also if you put, let's say, $10,000 worth of upgrades into that home, but the home, because of those 10,000 upgrades, goes up by $50,000, you just gained $40,000 worth of equity as well. So those are two of the ways it can grow equity within your home. Now, I think one of the more important things when it comes to equity is learning how to use your equity. So imagine you bought that $1 million home, and again, it went up to $1.1 million. Now, most people would be like, great, I have another $100,000 worth of equity, and they do absolutely nothing. The most important thing is that if you want to scale in real estate, you need to learn how to be able to tap into that equity and use that equity to buy more real estate. So there's two ways you can do that. The number one option is using a cash out refinance. And then the second option is what we call a home equity line of credit. So I'm not gonna go into details for both of those things, but if you wanna learn more, you can definitely YouTube those two concepts. Now moving on to A for appreciation. Now we already kind of covered the two ways that your home can appreciate. Either you can force the appreciation by spending $10,000 on upgrades and then therefore increasing the value of your home by $50,000, or you can just wait and be lazy and just wait for your home to appreciate over time. But I think the key to understanding appreciation is not just understanding what it is, but how to utilize it. So when your home does appreciate in value, how can you use that appreciation to grow your net worth even more? And two of the concepts that you really need to understand is, number one, the 1031 exchange, which basically means that if I had a $1 million property and it appreciated by $100,000, if I were to sell that property, I would have to pay taxes on that $100,000 and I would have to pay capital gains tax. Essentially, a 1031 exchange is when you exchange properties and you can use the capital gains from the sale of the first property as a down payment for that next property. So essentially, you should be able to upgrade from this $1 million house to exchange it for a bigger property, which can generate potentially more cash flow or more income. Now, the 1031 exchange really only applies for investment properties and not for primary residences. Now, if you own a primary residence, one of the best ways to tap into that appreciation or that equity is by using something called the Section 121. Now, Section 121 basically allows you to collect up to $250,000 of capital gains tax-free, meaning if you sell your house and you have $250,000 of capital gains, you can basically sell your home and keep that tax-free as long as you've lived in the property for the past 2 out of the 5 years. Meaning, if I have a 5-year look back of today, anytime within there, you need to have lived in the property for at least 2 years, okay? And if you're married, that number goes up to $500,000. Imagine buying a $1 million house, living in it for 2 years, and then selling it for $500,000 more and keeping that all tax-free. That's the potential of using a Section 121. So these are both ways that you can access your appreciation without paying taxes on that appreciation. And last but not least, L is for leverage. The power of leverage is that you can control bigger assets by putting down less money, but those bigger assets have the potential to grow faster and to produce more income. So you can control those type of bigger assets by not even putting too much skin in the game. Now, the most important thing you have to understand about leverage is that leverage allows you to control risk in real estate. So for all you risk adverse people out there, just know that the more money you put down on a home, the less risky it becomes as an investment. Now, obviously, the most risky thing you could possibly do is maybe put 0% down or 3.5% down, because then your expenses are going to be very high every single month. And potentially the rent coming in from that property might not even cover, the expenses if you're, buying with 3.5% down. Now, the opposite side of that is buying the home completely in cash, where you would have no debt and basically no, mortgage to pay every single month. Now, if you're a risk-adverse person, what I would suggest is that you put more money down on each deal. Now, you're not going to be able to scale as fast because you're not going to be able to buy as much homes if you're putting 50% down on every single home, but each home that you buy with 50% down is going to have a very low monthly cost because your mortgage is going to be so low. But if you're younger and you want to scale quicker, you might want to take a little bit more of a riskier approach and put maybe less percentage down so that you can go and buy more real estate. This is why real estate investing is the ideal investment. There's no other asset class like it that provides all 5 of these benefits. Income in the form of cash flow. You have depreciation, which helps you pay less taxes on that rental income. You have equity growth. You have appreciation, which you can access tax-free if you're using the Section 121 or 1031 exchange. And you have L for leverage, which allows you to control the amount of risk that you can take in your real estate investment portfolio. So those are the 5 reasons why I love real estate investing. So if you guys have any questions about investing in real estate or learning about what I'm going to be doing this year, you can schedule a one-on-one strategy call with me. The link is in the description. But other than that, thank you for watching and see you guys in the next video.